Welcome, guys, to 2024. Happy New Year. If you're new here, my name is Tolu. I'm a Christian dating coach, and I specialize in showing women of faith like yourself how to date to attract their husband. And today, I wanted to talk to you all about changes to attract your husband in 2024 because this year, I want to make sure that you're on the right path, you're on the right track, and you're dating in alignment with the marriage that you know God has called you to. Now, just a few quick points that I want you guys to be aware of. If you want to work with me one-on-one in 2024 to start attracting your husband by changing the way you're dating, then click the link in my bio to apply for my Dating to Marry program, where I walk you through the exact framework that has helped my clients to attract their husbands and to start dating men in a quality way. Now, I'm also organizing prayers for the year 2024. From the 1st, we started yesterday, to the 31st of this month. I'm sharing prayer prompts in my broadcast channel, also titled after my program, Dating to Marry, where I am just giving you prompts that I want you to pray to spiritually align yourself. But if you know you're ready for the deep work, you want to go deeper than the spirit, you need practical, easy, simple steps to start attracting quality men. That's the Dating to Marry program. And if you want to work with me in that capacity, just click the link in my bio to apply. Okay, so today I'm going to walk you through changes you need to make to start attracting your husband in 2024. If you see me looking just off screen, I am looking at my notes because you all know that I like to make sure that I give you guys detailed steps. So the first point I want to make is you need to start talking to men, okay? You need to start talking to men. A lot of you just kind of expect this guy to appear with all the qualities, all the features, ready to get married, ready to be in a relationship, ready to declare his desire to commit to you. That is not how it works, as I'm sure you've experienced from the men you've come across. If you keep having that expectation, you are not going to meet any men. You're just not going to meet them. So it's important that you just start talking to men, start having conversations, start practicing the art of just communicating with men. And the importance of this is when you learn how to communicate with men, you pick a lot through discernment and data without having to go on the dates, without having to talk to him for months, without having to be led around the same mountain for years. A lot of the information that you need to know about if you're talking to someone that you could potentially have an intimate relationship with is in conversation. It's in basic conversation. And this is one of the key areas that I address with my clients in Dating to Marry, learning to read men just by having conversations with them, learning the art of using conversations to distill when a man is on the right page with you, to learn how to use conversations to discern what the Lord is telling you about this person. So just start talking to men. Your husband isn't going to come ready, prepared, saying, let's get married. No. Okay, and if that happens, you really want to look into why that is happening that way. So it's important that you just start talking to men, start having conversations, start practicing the art of gathering data just by communicating with men, how they communicate with you. And if you want my help on this, of course, that's what I show clients how to do through the program so that they find it easier to position themselves to attract men in a quality way. Conversation is a key part of making that happen. Now, secondly, I want you to start going on dates. How many of you have been on dates in the past 6 months? Just drop a yes in the comments. I want you to start going on dates. And when I say dates, I mean he called it a date. I mean it was a preset time. I mean that it was previously arranged. He asked you out. I'm not talking about the random hangouts. I'm not talking about the spontaneous outings. I'm talking about a preset appointment to meet in an intimate setting. That is what a date is called. And that's what you need to start doing more of. Now, the reason why this is so important is it's time that you start learning what it means to be pursued and how it looks like to be pursued intentionally, okay? To be pursued intentionally for a potential relationship, for potential intimacy. You need to get in that space of knowing how it feels like, how it looks like, so that we can see how comfortable and uncomfortable you are. We can start to understand how your femininity shows up in the dating process as you're interacting and engaging with men in an intimate setting. This is so important. And what I do with my clients through Dating to Marry is I walk them through a very simple process that makes it easy for them to start going on dates with men so that we can use that information to assess how exactly they're interacting with men and the quality of men that they desire by practice. I don't believe in theory. We don't do theory here. By practical steps and practical strategic tips that I give them to position themselves to connect with men in that way on dates, okay? None of my clients go on random spontaneous outings. We don't do that here. They don't just make themselves available whenever, wherever, however, no. I put them through a process that makes it very simple for them to know when they're invited out on a date and when exactly it is that this is somebody they potentially want to keep seeing, and how that looks like from their perspective, because you're dating to marry, okay? And you need to go on a date with that intention, with that awareness. A lot of you are going on dates to play detective. You're going on dates to prove your worth. That is not what you're meant to be doing in the dating process. In going on dates, you are dating to marry. So those dates serve the purpose to see if there's somebody that you could potentially have a quality, intimate relationship that could potentially lead to marriage. That is the whole point of going on dates, okay? And I'm not saying you should be serious, you should be over the top. I definitely encourage, I literally walk my clients through the basics of going on dates. From the first date to, I don't know, however many dates, we go through the process of looking at, okay, what are these dates telling you about this person? How do you want to continue engaging with them? What is the information we're getting from the Spirit of the Lord, and also from the substance of conversations and connections you have with this person, to be able to know if this is a potential partner for you. That's what I show clients how to do, and that's what you need to start doing. You need to start going on those dates. Now, you also need to clarify your desires. If I ask you what you want, it's very difficult for a lot of you to articulate beyond the point of you want to get married. That is not enough, okay? It's like if I ask you, do you want $1 million? I don't know anybody that will say no. But we all know that is not enough. It is not enough to just say yes. You have to go through. Faith without deeds is dead. You have to back your desires by your actions. So that's what I mean by clarify your desires. Okay, you want to get married. What does that look like? Where are you currently in the process? What are you doing to make this happen? How have you strategically positioned yourself to realize this outcome? What is the fact of the situation when it comes to how you're currently interacting and engaging with men? You need to clarify those desires for you to start seeing the desires manifest in your actual reality. Yes, prayer is extremely important, but the reason I like bringing the point up of it's not just prayer, it's application. And I've been doing this, guys, for close to 10 years. I've seen a lot of Christian women hide behind the space of prayer. I shared this in my Godly Dating Lessons of 2023. You cannot use your faith as an excuse. Faith is a shield. Faith is active. Faith is a sword. It requires you to act. So clarify your desires by acting on them. What can you presently do with where you are right now to make those desires happen? You want to get married? Let's get into what that means for you. How does it look like? What are you required to do right now to make that a practical realization for yourself? If you're not going on dates, you're not talking to men like I just mentioned, then you're not making it happen. You're not taking control of this process. And why in the Dating to Marry program we focus on clarifying desires for my clients is because I really want them to distill in reality. I get what it looks like in fantasy. I get what it looks like when you have a vision. But let's get to the point of reality, okay? Let's face the actual physical experience that you're currently having with men. What are we seeing? And that's what we do in, when I work with clients one-on-one. What is the fact of your situation? I'm not interested in your feelings. What is the fact of your experience with men? How are your expectations being met in the dating scene? And how are you getting, in contact with men, in conversation with men? How can we clarify the desires to the point where they are part of your dating experience? It's really important that you get to that space as you're dating for you to start seeing results. Because if you don't, you're going to be operating based off of fantasy. Okay, in order to know what needs to shift, we need information, we need data. You can't just change a space without understanding what already is going on, what's working, what isn't working, what do we want to try differently. And that's why, I'm very intentional with clients, making sure that they are actually actively on the dating scene to see how this is playing out. And that's what you want to start doing. You want to clarify your desires to that point where it is a physical experience. It's not just a fantasy you're having. Now, you want to learn to be feminine. Drop in the comments if anything I said so far is kind of setting off a light bulb, so to speak. So you want to learn to be feminine, okay? A lot of you do not know how to practice the art of femininity. You know, in your professional spaces, maybe you've had to take on masculine roles, in your family, in your friendship circles. Maybe you're raising children or a child on your own. You're just out of a relationship. You're out of a marriage. So you've been in your masculine a lot. That isn't going to translate in the way you date, as I'm sure you've experienced. You cannot come with that same energy to the dating space. You need to learn to rest in your femininity. And this looks different for different women. Some women, just to give you random examples, some women love beautification, whether it's hair, makeup. Some women love clothes. Some women love travel, luxury, that kind of thing. Whatever it is, and these are just the baseline. I'm just trying to make sure femininity is more than this. It's the substance of how you show up as a woman. You know, the soft, feminine, substantial part of yourself is what I mean when I say femininity. But I just want to give you a basic idea of how it looks like on a very surface level. So it's important that you learn what femininity looks like for yourself so that you know when you are not in it. If you don't know how to be feminine, you're not going to recognize when you are not being feminine. Okay? It's kind of like saying, if you don't know how to swim, and I'm using swimming because my goal last year was to learn how to swim, and I did, and I'm very I'm very happy with myself. Even though till now I still like having an instructor in the water, I can swim, but I do remember that before I couldn't tell if I was doing it wrong, doing it right. I was uncomfortable in the water. Now I don't have any of those issues, and I can tell when someone is new in the pool. I can literally tell just by looking at them that, oh, okay, they need to learn swimming. They need to take swimming lessons, because now I have residual knowledge. Now I have experience. It's the same way with your femininity. So where I'm going is, if you don't know how to be feminine, you're not going to recognize when you are not being feminine. Your default approach would always be masculine. Your default approach will always be defensive, will always be controlling, will always be jumping to conclusions and making assumptions. Because you don't know what it looks like to be in your feminine, you are not comfortable in that space. You don't recognize what it looks like for you to be soft, for you to follow a man's lead, so to speak, and to allow yourself to be pursued. You're not comfortable in that space, and that's where you actually need to get comfortable. And what I do with my clients through my program is I walk them through an exercise in our sessions that helps them to practice the art of femininity. And this makes it easier for them to be comfortable around men, makes them softer, makes it easier for them to attract quality interactions with men. Because a lot of you, the reason you're not attracting quality interactions with men is because you refuse to let go of the reins. You refuse to release control. You refuse to release your trauma, release conclusions that you're jumping to. So it's difficult for you to experience being pursued and being desired by a man. So what I do through my program is make sure that my clients understand how that femininity looks like for them on a practical scale, so that they are able to step into it with ease. And when you learn how to step into your femininity, it is so easy for you to attract a man that is masculine and have an interaction where he is resting in his masculinity. And what I mean by that is he desires to protect, he desires to provide, he desires to pursue you. You can bring that out of a man when you're resting in your feminine, and it's easier, it's a simpler approach, it's more flexible. I haven't had a single client that has gone through this process and thought it was difficult. If anything, I had a client, she was talking to one of the men she was entertaining that was providing her with a quality level of interaction. When we worked on her femininity, he pursued her more intently. He expressed his desire for exclusivity more firmly and more clearly, because we're practicing her resting in her feminine. Another client, went from not being sure why she was not attracting men, why men were not, taking it a step further with her, to being in a position where a man wanted to be exclusive with her almost immediately. Not to say in any of these instances, those are their partners, but that is the quality of interaction you want from men. It shouldn't be something that is happening on a random basis. It should be a constant experience for you as a woman of faith in your feminine, to be desired, to be pursued. For a man to desire your attention, for him to desire to be in your space, that should be a constant experience. It should not only come from a man you're going to marry. That's a misconception. That's a misunderstanding. It should come from men that you interact with. It should be a consistent experience. Okay, it shouldn't be on and off. And if you're not having that consistent experience, then there's an area in your femininity that needs work. okay, that needs your attention, that needs to be shifted in the way you're interacting. There's a shift that needs to happen in the way you're having conversations with men and the way you're connecting with men, because that actually should be a consistent experience. And that's what I show my clients how to do. This is why I say you get to choose your husband. Okay, I had a client the other day reaching out to me saying she didn't even know which one to choose out of the quality of men that were interested in her intimately. And that is the position you should be in. You should have options. It shouldn't be, let me just manage this one, or maybe I'll start to like him. No, that is not how it should be working. It should be from a space of you have quality options in men that want to engage and interact with you on an intimate level, that want to provide you with that level of safety and security for you to have substantial connections with them. That should be a regular experience. Okay, and then you want to work on, speaking about that, you want to work on your dating trauma. So when I say dating trauma, I basically mean how a traumatic past experience, a hurtful experience, a heartbreak is basically seeping into the way you're dating. So instead of interacting with the men currently in front of you, you're interacting with them as if they were an ex. You're interacting with them the way you have seen, traumatic relationships play out, maybe in your family, maybe in your friendships, maybe just around you. You're dating based on a past identity. You're not dating based on your present identity, and that is actually what is going on. That's why it's difficult for you to move past a certain point with men. That's why it's difficult for conversations to go beyond a certain area and relationships to develop before a certain point. There's a trauma that is affecting, there's a trigger that is affecting the way that you're connecting and interacting with men that needs your attention. So you want to work on your dating trauma, whatever that is. The first part of the Dating to Marry program that I deal with clients on is their patterns. So we literally just go to the beginning. Where did it start? What's going on? I have a very specific tailored process that walks my clients through identifying the traumatic areas that are seeping into the way they're dating, so that we can clear that up and make it easy for them to date from a clean space. Okay, it's very important that you're dating from a clean space. So when I do that process with my Dating to Marry clients of working through their patterns, they find it easier to get in position. The reason you're not in position right now, and when I say in position, I mean in a space where you are having and connecting in a quality way with men, is because there's a trauma that is blocking your positioning. So what happens in my program is we start by looking at your patterns. That's where your traumas are seeping and leaking, so to speak, into the way you're dating, so that you can start positioning yourself in a quality way to have quality connections with men. It literally changes the way men perceive you, the way they desire to pursue you, the way they show up to provide for you. It's a game changer. I've seen it happen with clients again and again and again. When we clean up their patterns, it changes the way they position themselves, which is evidenced in the way men interact with them. So if you're currently experiencing an issue with connecting with men, if you're seeing that there's a lack of substance that is going on and off, it is because the way you're positioning yourself, there's something off in the way you're positioning yourself. That's what's happening. So if you're seeing that the connections are not coming through, you're finding it difficult to sustain relationships, it always feels like a difficult process for you, it's exhausting, your positioning is off. That's what's happening. And if your positioning is off, that means that you need to go back to your patterns and explore the areas of trauma that are coming up with you as you are dating. And that's why, the Dating to Marry process is very streamlined and strategic in that way. We start with your patterns before we move to your positioning, so that you can have a different experience with men. You can connect with them in a different way. I've never introduced any of my clients to their current spouses. I've never introduced them to the men they're in relationships with. But once we do that work, once we clean up the way they date, they position, and we work on the way they're positioning themselves, they have a different set of options in men. It just shifts the entire experience that they have dating. I've seen that happen with clients again and again and again. I had a client, she wanted to take a break from online dating, and in my program, I provide you with online dating strategies and offline dating strategies. I've had clients meet their spouses in both spaces. It doesn't really matter. I just want to make sure that they're equipped. And she just wanted to take a break from online dating because it just wasn't in alignment with how she was positioning herself at that point. She recently got into a relationship with a gentleman that she met offline, because it didn't change her positioning. If anything, she was further aligned in her positioning once we cleaned up her traumas and patterns. So it made it easier for her to connect with men in a quality, substantial way, and she is currently in a relationship. The reason I say that is I want to emphasize the importance of cleaning up your dating and clearing that space up so that you can date from a very healthy space, and it makes it easier for you to have a deeper, healthier quality connection with men. Okay, now you want to talk to God about dating. Drop whatever stood out to you in the comments. I'm just curious. And if you have a question, put it in the question box as well. I will get round to it if I have enough time at the end. You want to talk to God about dating, okay? So you want to talk to God about your dating process. You want to talk to God about how you're currently experiencing relationships, how you're currently experiencing men. You really want to start developing that space of having an active relationship with God when it comes to your dating space. I don't care where you currently are. If you're currently dealing with some form of relationship cycle of heartbreak, if you're in a relationship that you're not happy in, or if you're one that it doesn't really matter. Just talk to God. And when I say talk, I literally mean talk. And I'm intentional about that word because I'm intentionally avoiding saying pray, because when we say pray, there's, as a coach, my brain is just thinking. I don't want you to think about it from the place of religion. I want you to think about it from the space of relationship. So talking to God is also praying to God. Okay, but I really want you to understand it on a relational level. So you're just talking to him about dating. You're telling him about what exactly is going on, what you desire, how you want there to be a shift in your dating process. You're really opening that line of communication with the Lord. And what I do with my clients in Dating to Marry is help them to understand how to open up that connection, how to open up that line of communication, so it's easier for them to hear and receive and listen and obey. Okay, hear and receive, listen and obey. So the reason why you may not be listening is because you're not receiving what you're hearing, and the reason why you may not be obeying is because you're not listening. Okay, so if you're not hearing, it's because you're not ready to receive. Okay, let me break that down. If you're not hearing, it's because you're not ready to receive. To get to that space of hearing from the Lord, you need to open your heart in being in a space where you're ready to receive. And then to get to that space of listening, you have to receive what you're hearing. To get to that space of obeying, when you go through hearing and receiving and listening, you're going to find yourself already in a posture of obedience. So that's how obedience gets easier. I just wanted to break that down for you guys because, it's just not broken down in conventional Christian spaces. And I think it's really important to understand that as you are walking with the Lord, don't be deterred. Don't let the enemy lie to you, confuse you. Don't let him make it difficult for you to think that the Lord is not speaking to you. That's why I'm breaking it down this way, so that you can understand how obedience can become simple. Okay, when you are in a position to receive, you will hear. As scripture says, seek the Lord with all your heart and you will find him. When you're in a position to receive, you will hear. And when you receive, it will be easier to listen. And then obedience, you just find yourself in a posture of obedience. Okay, when you go through those steps. And what I do with my clients is make it easier for them to understand how those 4 steps that I just played out map out in the space of their dating. Okay, so I'll tell you another story. A client came to me. She wasn't even sure about her calling to marriage. She was completely confused around why she kept attracting men that were not serious, that were not ready, that were putting her into situational cycles. And she was just tired. She was sick of it. She was just done. Now, the light bulb, so to speak, went off in her head when we started looking at how she was interacting with the Lord. That's where the light bulb went off for her. Because when I put her through my Dating to Marry process, because I walk them through how to hear from the Lord, how to listen, so that it's easier for them how to hear and receive, so it's easier for them to listen and obey, right? So when I put her through that process, it became clear to her that she was called to marriage. It became easier. That was the blockage, so to speak. It wasn't that she wasn't called to marriage. It wasn't that she wasn't an attractive woman. It wasn't that she wasn't desirable as a wife. The blockage for her was in being in intimate connection with the Lord. So once we opened up that blockage, it released a lot of revelation for her in the dating space. And after a year of taking the program, she's now married. She's a mother as well. She stepped into her relationship that led to her marriage. So it's important that where I'm going with this is, you need to approach dating from a spiritual, soulish, and physical standpoint. So what we do with the Dating to Marry program is we address all those areas so that it makes it easier for you to be in alignment with your path, okay, when God has called you to marriage. And this isn't to say it's just gonna, this isn't to say that, you know, you go through the program and immediately you're married. It is to say that when you go through the program or you go through that process that was outlined and clearly distilled to me by the Spirit of the Lord, you become clearer on your path. It's just, you just know where you are and why you're there and what you need to be doing, which is a lot of clarity around how you should be dating. And you just naturally start attracting men in a quality way as a result, because you're now dating to marry. And dating to marry means that by virtue of that fact, you are attracting men that desire marriage. Okay, so dating to marry equals attracting men that desire marriage. By virtue of the fact that you are dating with the intention to marry, by virtue of going through that process, you will inevitably start attracting men that desire marriage, because that is how you're positioning yourself, and that's the path you're now on towards when it comes to intimate relationships. I just wanted to explain that. So I've shared 7 points, guys. Shared a lot. 7 points already. Now, the final thing I will say is you want to outline the kind of man you want to marry and what you can do to attract him. So in the program, I do a very simple exercise with my clients of being able to outline exactly what your husband looks like, even though they've never met him yet. Did it with every single client that has gone through the program, and I'm currently doing it with clients that are within my one-on-one Dating to Marry program. Reason I do this is because I want you to have a very clear idea of what it looks like, what that man looks like in the physical. Let's get out of your head and your vision and whatever it is you're seeing, and let's distill this into practical, actual reality, okay? So when you have that outline, you can always date. It's kind of like having a map, okay? I call it a marital template. It's basically a map as to what you need to be doing to get in position to attract that quality kind of man, and how you can strategically position yourself for those kinds of connections. When I walk my clients through this, always they receive revelation about, okay, this is where I need to shift. This is what I need to be doing differently. This is how I need to be connecting with men. This is where I actually need to be paying attention. So for you, I want you to really think about, what is the kind of man that I want to marry, and what can I do right now to attract that kind of man? To use another example, if you're applying for a job, you need to at least know what kind of job you desire, the particular skill set needed for that role, the companies that offer that kind of position, and then look at your own skill set to see how it aligns with that. Of course, the more there is a match, the more there is a fit, the more likely you are to get the job, right? It's the same way with dating. You desire marriage, you desire to be a wife. So what does that man look like? How can you outline his qualities and his features? Now, all you need to do is see what needs to happen on your end to match with those features that you desire. That's it. And literally provide, I call it a marital template. Basically walk my clients through that process of outlining that man in very clear, specific, strategic detail, so that it's easy for them to be able to know, oh, this is what I need to do. This is where I need to be. This is why I need to shift this particular area, and when I'm going to start, seeing results in the quality of men I'm attracting. Happens all the time. All my clients completely changes the way they connect and interact with men. And it also starts to give them a very clear idea of how to lead with their value, how to lead in a way that makes them desirable, attractive, and easily, have conversations of substance with potential partners. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly run through what I've shared so far. I would definitely advise you to watch this again and to share it with a sister friend. Okay, so I've basically walked you through changes to attract your husband in 2024. So like I said, you need to start talking to men, start going on those dates, be clear about your desires, learn to be feminine, work on your dating trauma. And don't tell me you don't have any. There's trauma somewhere. Everyone has trauma. Practice clean dating. Okay, that is dating without trauma, dating without fear, dating without anxiety, basically. Talk to God about dating. Super important. Actually, the first thing, but super important. outline the kind of man you want to marry and what you can do to attract him. Now, if you want to go into further detail with this, you are ready to attract your husband. You want to walk through my proven process to make this happen for yourself. Just apply to my program. The link is in my bio. Once you apply, I will literally respond within a 24-hour time frame. If you have any questions about working with me, you can send me a DM. If you have any questions about working with me on an intimate scale. It is an investment. It's a 4-figure investment in USD. So if you're in a position, I do have payment plans available. So if you're in a position to take that active step, that step that shows you that, okay, I'm committing to this process. I'm making dating a priority for myself in 2024 so that I can start attracting men that I know I can marry. Definitely click the link in my bio to apply. I'll have a conversation with you to see how best I can help you achieve this. And if we're the right fit to work together, we can definitely step into the dating to marry process so that I can help you start attracting your husband. Okay, guys, this was fun. I will see you again soon. Just as an addendum, I want to mention that I am offering the opportunity to get prayer prompts from me for the next 30 days now. So click the broadcast channel link. It's also the same name as my program, Dating to Marry. Click the broadcast channel link in my bio and you'll be in my channel to receive the prayer prompts till the end of January. If you want to work with me intimately, there's an actual link in my bio that you click to apply, and it says apply to work with me, and I'll review your application and we'll see if we're the right fit for each other. Okay, so I'm going to save this live. Make sure you share with a sister friend, and I'll see you next time. Happy New Year once again.